You know, I never thought I'd be the guy telling a story about a showdown with a suburban dictator, but here I am, sipping coffee on my porch, watching my bison graze under a Montana sky, and still chuckling about the day Linda Harper drove her shiny SUV straight into my world and got her car flipped like a pancake by my bulls. My name's Jack Colton, retired Marine, 54 years old, and all I wanted after 25 years of service was a quiet life, a patch of land to call my own, and the low rumble of bison hooves to keep me grounded. But Linda, oh, she had other plans, and let me tell you, it's a hell of a tale. I bought this ranch, 80 acres of rolling hills, just outside the gated community of Pineview Estates, because it was far enough from the world to feel free, but close enough to town for a decent burger. My land's not part of their HOA. Never was, never will be, a fact carved into county records clearer than a summer day. I started with 8 bison, big, shaggy beasts that carry the spirit of the plains in their bones. And by the time Linda showed up, I had 20, most of them bulls proud, stubborn, and not the type to take kindly to strangers. I respected them like I respected the men I served with. You don't poke them, you don't surprise them, and you damn sure don't waltz into their territory waving a clipboard like you're the queen of the county. Trouble rolled in on a Tuesday, wrapped in a cloud of perfume and a pastel blazer. Linda Harper, Pineview's HOA president, pulled up in her red Lexus, tires crunching my gravel drive like she was staking a claim. I was mending a fence post when I heard her heels click, 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 strutting toward me like she owned the dirt under my boots. "Mr. Colton," she says, voice sharp as a tack, "your fence is an eyesore, and those animals are a danger to our community aesthetic." I wiped the sweat off my brow, leaned on my shovel, and said, "Ma'am, this ain't Pineview property, this is my ranch, private land. No HOA strings attached." She blinked at me, lips pursed like she'd sucked a lemon, and gave me that smile, you know, the one, the kind that says she heard you but doesn't care. "Well," she says, "it's close enough, and we can't have this chaos lowering our property values." Chaos. My bison, my home, my life chaos in her world of manicured lawns and matching mailboxes. I told her calm as I could, "You're on my land. I must head back." She clutched her clipboard tighter, spun around, and marched off, but I knew this wasn't the end. I'd seen her type before officers who thought rank meant the world bowed to them. Things got weird after that, like a storm creeping over the horizon. Letters started showing up in my mailbox notices from Pineview, fining me for non-compliant fencing, citing livestock safety concerns, even demanding I tear down my barn, which has stood here longer than their cul-de-sacs. I took him to my lawyer, Tom Bradley, a guy who loves paperwork like most folks love a cold beer. He laughed, flipping through the stack. "Jack, they got no claim your land's exempt, clear as day in the deeds. If they keep this up, we'll slap M with a cease and desist." I nodded, but I wasn't naive. I'd been through enough battles to know when someone was testing a line, and Linda wasn't just testing, she was itching across it. Then came the petty stuff. A drone buzzing my pastures, catching my bulls in grainy footage, beer cans dumped along my fence, a water valve tampered with, costing me a day to fix. I couldn't prove it was Linda, but it had her lavender-scented fingerprints all over it. My neighbor, Sarah Miller, a beekeeper with a heart bigger than her hives, tipped me off after a Pineview meeting. "Jack," she said, setting a jar of honey on my workbench, "Linda had a whole PowerPoint about you called your ranch a public hazard, said your bulls could stampede into the neighborhood. She's trying to rally the board to force you out." I chuckled, but it was grim. Let her try, opinions ain't laws. Sarah looked worried. She mentioned handling the bison herself. "Be careful." That when I locked things down, new keypad on the gate, extra barbed wire, 2 more trail cams with night vision, uploading straight to the cloud. I wasn't looking for a fight, but I'd been in enough to know how to prep a battlefield. Then one morning, I saw a tire tracks deep, fresh, right by the fence facing Pineview's clubhouse. Someone had driven up in the dark, spun out, and fled. My bulls, grazing in the distance, snorted steam into the dawn, like they knew something was brewing. So did I. The first time Linda crossed the line really crossed, it was a Saturday, just after sunrise. I was in the barn, spreading straw for the calves, when I heard tires slow and deliberate, rolling past my gate. I stepped out, and there she was, strutting on my drive, Lexus parked crooked, one tire off the dirt. White blouse, big sunglasses, HOA badge gleaming like a sheriff's star. She had a camera in one hand, a folder in the other, and a smirk that screamed trouble. "Morning," she says, like we're old pals. "I'm here to inspect for easement violations. Your barn might be too close to our lines." I walk toward her, boots steady, voice low. "You're trespassing, Linda. Private property, no HOA jurisdiction, read the signs." I pointed to the 3 posted warnings. Private land. Livestock area. Enter at own risk. She didn't even glance at them, just snapped a photo of my barn. "This won't take long," she says, brushing past me like I was a speed bump. I stepped in front of her, not touching, just solid. "Last warning, leave." Her eyes flickered fear. Maybe, or just the shock of someone not bowing. "You'll hear from our legal team," she snapped, then stormed back to her car, peeling out in a cloud of dust. My heart was pounding, not with anger, but with that old battlefield clarity. This was war, just without the bullets. I called Tom that afternoon. She walked right in, took pictures, ignored the signs. I told him. He sighed. "That's a lawsuit waiting to happen for her. Post a cease and desist, Jack, and send me the camera footage." I did, laminating the notice and bolting it to the gate, right under the lens of my new cam. For a week, it was quiet too quiet. Then I found a sticker on my mailbox. HOA violation zone. Real classy. I burned in my fire pit, but the message was clear. Linda wasn't backing down. Then came the day that changed everything. Wednesday, late afternoon, sun dipping low, my bulls ambling toward the shade. I was fixing a water line when I heard an engine roar, too close, too reckless. I dropped my wrench and ran, cresting the hill to a sight that stopped me cold. Linda's Lexus, inside my pasture, gate swinging open, a bent bolt glinting in the dirt. She must have guessed an old code from a delivery guy I hadn't updated me mistake, and she exploited it. Her SUV sat 30 yards in, windows up, her silhouette scanning the field like she was on safari. 3 bulls, Hank, my lead, plus Duke and Bear were already squaring up, heads low, nostrils flaring. I waved my arms, shouting, "Linda, back up no." She didn't hear me, but didn't care. Then she did the dumbest thing possible. She honked. A sharp, piercing blast that echoed like a grenade. Hank bellowed, a sound that shakes your bones, and charged. His head slammed into her SUV's side, metal crumpling like tinfoil. The car rocked, Linda screamed, and Duke followed, smashing the rear, tail light shattering, tires lifting off the ground. I sprinted, yelling Hank's name, knowing it was useless. These aren't pets. They're 2,000-pound forces of nature. Linda floored the gas, tires spinning in the dirt, going nowhere. Then she stumbled out, tripping in her heels, hitting the ground 10 feet from the car, screaming like the world was ending. I vaulted the fence, arms wide, voice raw, not words anymore, just noise, decades of barking orders and chaos kicking in. Hank paused, snorted, chest heaving. Duke pawed the earth but held back. They weren't out for blood. They'd made their point. I crouched by Linda, her makeup streaked, clutching her purse like a shield. "You hurt?" I asked. She glared, voice shaking. "Your monsters tried to kill me. I kept my tone ice cold. They're bison on my land. You ignored the signs. Enter at your own risk." She limped to her wrecked SUV, dents like craters, a cracked window, One tire flat and drove off, gravel flying. The footage was gold. My cams caught every second. The gate breach, the honk, the bulls, her panic. I sent it to Tom and my old Marine buddy, Mike Torres, now a county wildlife officer. "She's done," Mike said. "That's trespassing on protected livestock land, a misdemeanor at least." Tom was already drafting filings. "She'll sue," he warned, "but we've got her dead to rights." Sure enough, Linda's HOA newsletter spun a tale of her heroic inspection attacked by rogue beasts. She filed a lawsuit, negligence, emotional trauma, car damages, demanding my bulls be removed. I countered hard trespassing, defamation, harassment backed by every frame of video, every sign Mike's wildlife statutes, and a viral conservation video I made with Dr. Ellen Voss, a state biologist who called my bison living history. Then she came back. A week later, Linda, 2 suits, and a camera rig set up in my field, filming what I knew was a smear job. Hank watched, ears forward, as Linda waved a red folder, yelling about dangerous conditions. I shouted, "Back off now," but she kept going, stepping past another sign. Duke grunted, low and mean, and it was over before it started. Hank charged, flipping the SUV onto its side, hood crumpled. Linda fell, screaming, as the suits bolted, leaving their camera streaming live to Pine View's YouTube. I got the bulls to back off, called 911, and watched the sheriff shake his head at the footage. "She's lucky she's alive," he said. "You're clear, Jack." The live stream killed her case. Comments tore her apart. Why was she on his land? Don't honk at a bison. 2 HOA board members quit, and Linda was voted out. In court, Judge Clara Monroe watched the video, her face stone. "Ms. Harper," she said, "you ignored clear warnings, trespassed repeatedly, and provoked protected animals." Case dismissed. My countersuit landed like a sledgehammer. The HOA apologized publicly, rewrote their bylaws, and Linda sold her house, last I heard, fleeing to some Florida condo. Now, the ranch is quiet again. Hank and Duke graze under the stars, and I'm running workshops with Ellen and Mike, teaching folks about bison, land rights, and the limits of HOA power. I got a letter from a kid in the next county saying my story gave him the guts to fight his own HOA. That's what sticks with men at the win, but the ripple. I look at Hank, his scarred face catching the moonlight, and I think we didn't just hold the line. We drew a new one. So what do you think? Was I right to dig in, or should I have tried to talk Linda down? Ever dealt with someone who thought they could bully their way onto your turf? Drop a comment. Share your story. I am all ears, and so's Hank.